say good morning a few times just to make sure the first 10 seconds of this video go away. Go away forever. We didn't used to have this problem, but they always add a new problem for you in the YouTube realm. So now we've finally gone past the first 10 seconds or so of this clip, and I can start doing live. Unlike in the past where I could just go, all right, guys, and just start doing stuff. Now you can't do that anymore. Apparently, there's new things that go on. Is YouTube ever going to get better, or is it always going to get worse and worse and worse? And some might say worser, but that's not proper English, so we can't. Anyway, in the last episode of Who and Where the Douche Is, that'd be me, I was trying my best to attach a really cool Captain Drone sticker onto this here quad here, the DJI FPV Potato Jet. Anyway, this thing here is pretty cool. It does a lot of fun stuff that many of the other DJI products don't do, or also just in general that quads don't do. But the issue that I was having is when I was trying to bend the sticker over this part, it bent funny and it would create some folds across the sticker where it was here where it pinches in the middle. And I haven't really figured out a way to get this to go on here so that it doesn't bend funny. Maybe this would work better. I don't know. But you know what I'm going to do? Maybe I'm just going to keep the sticker so I don't ruin it for when somebody amazing decides to send me the Avatar 2. And then I'll put the sticker on that, on the DJI Next Gen or Gen 2 Avatar. Anyway. Because I don't want to ruin that sticker, and it's not really the best to put it on this kind of surface there. The other option I have is I could put it on the DJI Mini 2 or possibly some other cool vehicle that comes in the following months, should something come in. I'm going to be doing an unboxing, a very, very cool unboxing that might be from Horizon Hobby soon. And so stay tuned for that. It's probably going to be a quad live for that. I missed, and I apologize for missing my live stream yesterday. Something came up. I went to try to get certified as a belay. So somebody who, if you guys are not familiar with rock climbing, the people who stand behind the climbers and make sure that they don't fall off the rope are the belays. And so you have to learn how to do a crazy knot that looks something like this. It's actually two. These are actually two knots. This is one knot over here, this crazy one, but it feeds into another knot. So technically it is 3 knots, but right now you're only seeing one, and this is just a separate knot on the top. They say, I'm not sure if it's true or not, some people will say that this one actually doesn't do a whole lot for holding your body. But it stops the secondary rope from getting wild and getting in the way of other procedures that you might do as a climber. So this one is more like decorative and helps to keep this upper part of the rope from doing things that you don't want that may impede your climbing. And this is the one that supports your weight underneath there. That's as far as I know, and I could have this wrong. So don't take my word for it. Maybe go do a proper ballet class where you will learn how to do this. And yeah, that's about it. I will do probably another video at some point where I talk more about the class that I took and how humbling the experience was, because I was, as usual, the dumbest person in class. At the end of the class, most people knew what they were doing, and I had to get extra help. So anyway, let's get over here to doing a couple of jumps around with this cool jet here. Let's get it up in the air and have a good time. Oh, look at that. I shouldn't have done that. I should have done my system checks before getting up in the air. And one of the things that I didn't notice is the wings, and each jet is different, so I can't remember now which one of the switches brings the wings out, but you want those wings out. Okay. All right, so this be the switch, guys. If you are using, and you should, if you're getting this Simulator Real Fly Evolution, you should get yourself one of these remotes over here. Why? Because it's just the easiest way to get into this piloting thing, simulators. A lot of times you might just buy the software and then it'll take you forever to figure out how to get another controller, another remote to connect properly to the system. So this one is really, really straightforward. If you buy the combo that comes this and the software Real Flight Evolution or Real Flight 9.5S, you get both. So the remote and the software, and all you need to do is connect it up. If you get Real Flight Evolution, you'll get a hub. It doesn't look like this. It'll be a different one that comes with it, and it'll just plug into your USB, or in my case, micro USB, and then you'll have this cable here that is a USB going into the hub. And once you have all that done, the computer recognizes it, and you will do a little calibration test before you start flying, which is pretty much automatic. And yeah, that's all you got to do. All you got to do. It sounds like a lot, but if you compare it to having to install the software and then set up your own remote, now that's where things get really complicated. So let's bring this bird to me real quick, not too fast, not too slow, so I can take a look at this. I do not want to start it up like this. I want to, as I said before, it's not the bottom switch, the one with the long thing. It's the shorter switch up there on the left side of your remote. It sweeps the wings. Do not push it all the way up. There are 3 positions for this. If you go all the way up, it lifts the front of the plane, which is not good, so don't do that. It adds drag, and it probably may cause issues if you try to fly it like that. It may still take off, but it's not great, so don't do that. Okay, so let's get up in the air now and see if I can do this at all. It's been a while. It's been a whole day of me not practicing, so usually takes a little bit of time for me to get back into the groove of things. I'm going relatively slow, coming back to myself. Not too much turn. We've overshot the runway. The plane is doing funny things. It's not coming back to me anymore, and I have lost control. This thing does not have safe, if you will, and safe is really useful. But, oh, that was a bounce and break the landing gear situation there. So let's get back into, let's try that again. First we'll lift. And this thing lifts rather slow compared to a lot of the other planes. So just keep that in mind. A lot of other planes require less runway than this one to get up. But it does fly really nice and slow if you want. That was a horrible thing that I did there. And again, just getting used to the plane again. Getting used to this plane. And you're like, but you've been doing like hours and hours on end. Oh, sticky keys. Gosh darn it. The one thing that annoys me about this not being a, whatchamacallit, this not being a wireless system. But again, it's better to have a wired system because at least the battery will never die on you than to have a wireless, which means some days if you forget to charge those batteries or something, you'll show up and you're like, I want to do a live stream, and now I can't because you have to wait for the batteries to charge. So I still prefer this kind of way of doing things. And a lot of the newer and later technologies, even for video gamings, are using more of the wireless systems, which is great. But you also have to have good memory and remembering, and have to remember that you've got to charge those. Otherwise, when you want to use them, you've got no battery. Okay, let's see if we can align this plane. Whoa, coming in way too hot. That was another bounce and go. I would like to be able to do this just... Oh, destroyed the plane. Okay, there was another version of this plane that was a little bit easier to fly because it was a slightly darker gray. So if you are not an expert, make this easier for yourself. Find a plane that looks the same as the one that you want to fly. Because the cool thing about this here simulator is that there are so many planes, and I seem to find that this one that also looks a little bit like the one that you can get from Motion RC. Motion RC has a similar one, at least the color scheme. The one that I have is F-15 with a similar color scheme to this. Why doesn't it start? Today I'm having issues with buttons. Anyway, let's see if it's the same. Sweep the wings open to make sure that they're up. Again, that was the switch over here. From down position to middle position, it'll sweep the wings open. Do not push it all the way up, or it's going to open up the canopy for the plane. So this is going to make my life a little bit easier because I can see the plane a little bit better in different directions and stuff. I can kind of tell where it's going. Is it leading itself back to where I want it to go? Or am I inverted, in which case I have to invert the way that I fly in my brain, and my brain being slow and ever so annoying when it comes to that. I still broke the plane. Then it makes it harder. So let's make sure we do those maneuvers and that we are high off the ground when we do. We're just trying to do a basic turn back to us and aiming for the runway. Zero throttle, lift that nose, and bounce and smash. Destroy the front gear. So let's do that again. How many times can you do it? As many times as you need to make it and be perfect at it, if you will. You will never really be perfect at it. And when you start adding the adverse conditions such as wind in the real live scenario, then that just adds even more. And you can do that in this simulator. I don't do that in the simulator when I fly. Why? Because my computer can't handle the extra physics. So someday, when the YouTube channel finally does make a couple of dollars, then I will probably invest in the latest and greatest Surface, probably Surface Pro. And this time, I will ask Microsoft to include at least 32 gigs of RAM, because let's face it, this thing probably only has 8 gigs of RAM and a rather lame graphics card, which does not allow for the really cool stuff like physics and stuff of this to run at its best. I mean, I'm not talking about the physics in general. I mean, look how cool the explosion on that hit on the ground was. So I'm not talking about those kind of physics. I'm saying if you start adding things like grass and stuff on the thing, if you start adding a lot of trees to the thing, you start adding like wind and all that kind of stuff, that's all stuff that the computer needs to be able to render out. I do not think that a lot of that stuff is pre-baked into the system. In some video games it is, but I think that this one, in order to be as realistic as possible, does not pre-bake a lot of that stuff in. And again, that's part of the reason why it's so cool, right? It's as realistic as possible, and based on the thing that you do, it'll adapt to your user experience. Anyway, this is a brilliant simulator, guys. If you guys don't have one of these or haven't tried one of these, you will really enjoy it. Whether you are a beginner pilot or a advanced pilot, you can do a lot with this. And again, as a somewhere just above beginner, I would say, I wouldn't go as far as calling myself an intermediate pilot, because there are far better intermediate pilots than me. But I have been flying on this for a long time now. For a long time, a lot of hours. We could go check. And the hours that you'll see are a little bit skewed because it's between two different systems. the Real Flight 9.5S and this Evolution. So just going by one is not going to tell you the full picture of how many hours I've put into the simulator into learning how to fly. So, and this for me is one of the more advanced, but very gratifying birds to try to fly because, again, it does not have safe, so it is very difficult for me to fly. But at the same time, it looks really cool in the air, and it's just worth it. I feel like to mess around because I would never do this in real life. I would never buy a plane like this of this caliber and then actually fly it without being able to, like have safe in it. What do I mean by safe? If you guys have never done any of these simulators before, I'll go grab a plane. Wait. They have so many planes, as you guys can see here. I'm trying to look for something that is a little bit jet-like with safe on it. Maybe this one. This one might have safe in it. Let's see. This is again, there's a lot of different companies that have worked together to build this simulator, and they often, you're able to showcase so many different of their planes. But this one here is one of my favorites. It is the FMS F-15 64 millimeter EDF. And you'll notice as we go through a lot of these, you'll see like the Horizon Hobby, but you'll see FMS, you'll see Fly Zone, you'll see, let's see, what are some of the others, E-Flight, you'll see UMX, you'll see a lot of different companies. What you won't see is Motion RC. Unfortunately, you won't see Motion RC on here. It'd be cool if someday they'll have Motion RC in here, but you would have to. There's a bit of a feud there going on, and again, I don't partake in those things. Oh, this one does not have safe. I just lied to you greatly. Although this is another great plane to fly. This one does not have safe. So this is a little bit like the one that I just flew before. It is a little bit more mellow in some cases, but it's smaller. So the further it gets away, the harder it is to see what you're doing. Based on the way that I fly, this thing tends to fly and turn a little bit easier than the other one, possibly because it's just a smaller plane. But again, you see me doing some horrible bouncing lands there. Let me find you a plane that does have safe in it. I remember seeing one that looked like that did have safe in it. Again, look at all these different things. You have all kinds of different planes. Great Plains, Gremlin, Griffin. The main companies that you're going to see, some of these are not actually being sold, I don't think. The Harrier does not have it does have stability mode, but that's something completely different. So, here we go. Here's a good one to showcase this on. And I was lucky enough to get one of these. So I was actually able to fly this thing in real life, not just on the simulator. And for maiden, I did pretty well, I would say. Okay, I am now in safe, which is what people call beginner mode. And I will show you, before you saw me do a lot of bounce and crash. And with this is the Aero Scout. I will come in for a gentle landing. So long as you have that nose a little bit up, it'll do pretty much all of that for you in real life, as you are seeing here in the simulator. In real life, there's a lot more pressure to not break the plane and stuff. So I'm going to tell you that it's easier to land in the simulator than it is in real life. But I was able to land it in real life. There was no damage. It was my maiden. And I'd only done, I think it was about 50 hours of flight training on this. I was not a noob to the flight industry or anything like that, because I'd flown a lot of drones before, a lot of other planes, but I had no idea about how Horizon Hobby and Hobby Zone and Spectrum have their remotes configured. So the reason why getting this is so important is if you plan on flying with that ecosystem and you come from a completely different ecosystem, whether you're flying one of those like Chinese brands such as Yixin, WL Toys, and a whole bunch of others, the way that their remote controls are set up is completely different from the ecosystem that Horizon Hobby, Hobby Zone, and Spectrum have. So this simulator allows you to learn all the switches and all that stuff so that when you go and you fly, you know exactly what you're doing, and you can try to start building some of that motion muscle memories, some of that muscle memory into your your thumbs if you're a thumber, your pincers if you're a pincer, and so on and so forth, so that you will be able to land and fly these things without any problem. And again, the good thing about getting the Aero Scout, the big one, is that it has safe already built in, and it makes it so much easier than many others to just do stuff. Like for instance, I wasn't safe, so I didn't want to land exactly on the grass. I was able to carry it back onto the runway and do a proper landing on the runway, and that is because it isn't safe. So it is incredibly easy to fly this way. All right, guys, I'm gonna do one more of these landings, then I'm gonna get out of safe, and after that, we're gonna call it quits today. And I will probably see you guys back tomorrow. Again, I'm very sorry that I missed my live stream yesterday, but I was trying to learn how to get certified as a belay to help Disney Gym Girl so that she can learn how to do some climbing and stuff on the other walls. We did a lot of bouldering recently, and well, she wanted to do and learn how to go a little bit further higher up on walls. And one of the best ways to do that in safety is to have somebody to belay you and make sure that your rope doesn't slide and you fall into oblivion. I mean, there's really nice equipment at the gym where we are, so even if you did make a mistake, you'd fall on something quite cushy, but it's better to have somebody to keep you safe. And so that's why I took one for the team, and attempted to learn and take another certification, yet another one. But in this case, I would say that it's worth getting certified, simply because the test is supposedly, I haven't passed it yet. I've only done the first part of it. So I will tell you soon. I will let you know how easy it is to pass. The hardest part for me is the knot system. Again, it took most people, basically everyone else in the class that took the class with me, knew how to do the knots by the end of the class. I was the only person who did not. And so then I spent, I would say, a great part of half of a day at home, then continuing on to practice. And also I had to seek extra assistance after the class to help me with that. But as I said before, all the other people that were in class with me passed no problem and did not require any extra assistance afterwards. So it's just me as usual. It's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. And I say that truthfully. It's really true. So anyway, let's get down here to do a relaxed landing. There we go. We are out of safe. And let's come back to me. And we will end the live stream here with this amazing, as I said before, amazing bird, the Aero Scout. Again, if you've got an extra couple of dollars, don't waste your time and money and buy the small one. Get the big one. It'll be the one that really makes your day, because it's got beginner mode, it's got intermediate mode, and experience mode. So you can go all the way to experience mode, which will then lead you towards something like the Habu, which is also really cool. So anyway, with that said, I'm going to give the usual shout out that I do. I'm going to say thank you to Spectrum for sending us a brand new battery. That's always going to be a cool thing. Horizon Hobby for providing us with this awesome tool, Real Flight Evolution. And with that, I'm going to see you all tomorrow. Take care, guys. Have an awesome weekend.